Good morning, Faith Church. We're coming to you from wonderful Juarez, Mexico. Operation Hogar started in the mid to late 90s. It's a mission of the Methodist Church of Mexico.
Operation Hogar is an organization that was formed in Juarez, Mexico to do mission work down in that area. Primarily, though, they've been involved in building homes in the Anapra area.
Basically, Operation Hogar receives teams from the United States and provides them with a week of mission opportunity where they stay in Juarez for the week. They immerse themselves in the culture.
And they are involved in building concrete homes for the folks in that area.
Well, this would have been my 5th year. I have gone 4 years before. The first time it was very late in the season and somebody just said, "Hey, why don't you come with us?" And I said, "Okay."
I've been on about 8 or 10 trips now, so many that I've lost count.
For years, the Juarez cartel has ran the city. For the most part, the American drug habit has fueled the drug trade in Mexico. And Juarez, being a border town with El Paso, has been that pass-through for both marijuana and cocaine for years. In 2008, the Juarez drug cartel started to have competition, and the Sinaloa cartel from another part of the country moved into Juarez, and a major turf battle started.
What it has created is sort of a general sense of lawlessness within the communities there.
The news can tell you all about the fact that there were severed heads left on bridges, headless bodies along the sides of the road, and in each of those situations there were either notes or brands left on the bodies or the remains to symbolize the turf war that was going on. Then it escalated even more in 2008 because President Calderon of Mexico declared a war upon these cartels. So not only were the cartels warring upon each other, but now the Mexican army and the federal police stepped in, which escalated the violence to an unreal level. We went 2 times last year. In the deadliest year yet, we went in January and we went in March.
What did people in your church congregation say about you going to Juarez at a time like this?
A lot of people think we're crazy.
When we went in March of 2010, 10 days before our departure, there was an attack upon 3 employees of the U.S. consulate in Juarez. That 10 days was filled with phone calls and emails that I received from people in the community and people in the church begging us to not go.
I got a lot of parents calling me, telling me I was stupid. I had a lot of parents calling me, telling me I was like leading their children in a dangerous direction.
And it just so happened the morning that we were to leave for Juarez, the local newspaper here ran a front page article about how crazy this church was, that we would ignore the warnings about going down there.
You know, Juarez is more dangerous than Afghanistan right now. So yeah. I don't really blame parents and people for wanting to take care of their kids, and I don't blame anybody for thinking that we were crazy, because according to the world, we are crazy.
And so our team decided they were going to go. They were going to cross the border. Well, fast forward now to January of 2011. Again, we had a trip scheduled. The one thing about the violence as it has been, besides the random acts that take place and the stray bullets that hit people, it has been targeted. It's cartel upon cartel. It's gang upon gang. It's cartel upon federal police upon cartel. It happens at certain areas of the community, mostly on the southwest side of Juarez, and also happens typically at night. So that also helped with our decision to go ahead and go.
We talked as a group and decided that we didn't feel it was unsafe for us to go.
2 weeks ago, at the end of December, an attack took place.
2 weeks before Christmas, Brad told me that he'd heard that at one of the checkpoints where we actually drive through between where we stay and where we work, there had always been a military or a police checkpoint, and there had been a murder there.
Happened in the middle of a weekday afternoon upon 3 young men.
And that was sort of the deciding factor, I think, in canceling the trip this year.
Once we could no longer say the murders are not happening where we go, then we felt like we couldn't justify it anymore, that we could have been unlucky and been at that intersection that very same time.
I can tell you that canceling the trip for 2011 was one of the most difficult decisions I've had to make, because of balancing passion and concern for the poor in a place that we have grown a strong community with allowing fear and violence to supersede anything, to supersede that passion. It's a hard decision to send an email to the people down there saying, even though we've been the group who's continually returned, we got to call it off.
Did you feel like you were in more danger than last trips, or was?
No, it's about the same every year, and every year that we go, we're at least 10, sometimes 15 miles away from the downtown area where the majority of the crime happens. And so we're pretty far away from it all. And we also stay in a compound whenever it's dark. So we don't go out and work until the sun comes up, and we go back into the compound when the sun goes down, and it's in the middle of nowhere. So I've never even felt like we were in any kind of trouble the whole time.
In the midst of all the warring, in the midst of the challenges that are taking place down there, and the fear and the fleeing of people, the poor aren't able to go anywhere.
The effects on Operation Hogar and other relief efforts have been immense.
They've diminished it significantly.
Last year, when we were sitting in line to go back across the border, in the lane next to us was a truck labeled Casas por Cristos, which is Houses for Christ. It is the largest aid and relief agency in Juarez.
And so Casas por Cristo has a compound in El Paso where they're housed. And then they just take work teams in and out across the border every week, and they've done it for the last 8 or 9 years.
And we engaged in a conversation with their coordinator, who was in the truck next to us. And their participation has dropped 70%. This is an agency that built over 300 homes a year for the poor of Juarez and the community outside of Juarez known as Anapra. And to see the staggering decline. Operation Hogar, serious decline. From early 2000, where they were averaging 50 groups a year, this past year, in 2010, they had 6.
Well, the first few years that we went to Juarez, we would see notes left behind or, remnants of other people visiting.
I could see the difference just in the last 2 years with literally the number of people we saw anywhere.
They've got troops getting involved right now. They've got soldiers on every block. They're bringing up security a lot, and I think that's really a solid first step. But honestly, you got to get to the root of the problem.
I've talked to pastors, I've talked to other social agencies in El Paso, and most folks have expressed no hope.
Mexico is a very poor area and has been easy in the past to corrupt officials because they generally make very little compared to what they could make as an insider with the cartels.
And I think while the economy there is so poor, and while the demand for the drugs is so high in the United States, I think the problem is going to continue to be there.
The federal police and the Mexican army have captured the leaders of the 2 major warring cartels, but the violence has continued. The president has positioned checkpoints throughout the city, has brought over 5,000 troops at one time to be scattered throughout the city. Violence continues. The mayor of Juarez is living in El Paso with his family. Is there hope? I don't know. I know that the United States has gotten involved in providing aid and assistance to the investigations. The U.S. Army hasn't made a decision to enter the city. it's civil war, and there are innocent people being killed. And the only thing I can cling to is this religious thing of hope that I preach. But